everyone. Welcome to a journey through time, where the line between myth and reality is blurred. Have you ever wondered, was there a giant empire hidden in the middle of the Eurasian continent, possessing technology that we can only dream of, a civilization forgotten by the world, its history erased, but its traces are still imprinted on ancient maps, ancient buildings, and untold legends? That is the story of Tartaria. At the time when the map of Europe still read Tartaria, stretching from the Caspian Sea to the Pacific Ocean, from the Ural Mountains to far away Siberia, a desolate land, which foreigners gave a common name, the land of the Tatars. But then, at the end of the 19th century -1890, when the world entered the industrial age, the name Tartaria gradually disappeared from the map. Some believe that behind this disappearance lies a secret, an advanced civilization with hydraulic power and transportation. Perhaps water-powered trains was wiped out, history rewritten. The ancient, majestic buildings, the seemingly impossible machines of that era, all are believed to be remnants of a forgotten empire. Today, in our journey titled Tartaria 1890, Train Stations, Old World Hydrotourism, we will examine ancient maps, consider hypotheses, analyze evidence, to find out, did Tartaria really exist? Were there ancient trains, stations vast beyond imagination, or is it just a story, woven from dreams and doubts? Join me on a journey to discover what the minds of time have buried, but to understand the secrets of the Tartarian train stations of 1890, we must start with the remaining traces, technical drawings, old stations, faded black and white photographs, and structures whose dimensions far exceeded the needs of people at that time. Many modern architects have admitted, if this is really a 19th century station, why is it so massive, like a palace? Some independent researchers have argued these structures were not just stations but energy centers, places where the very resource Tartaria was said to possess was harnessed. Water-powered resonance. What is even more strange is the layout of the terrain around the old train stations. Some stations had a system of canals, water towers, pumping stations, and complex hydraulic structures. Instead of serving traditional steam locomotives, the water channels appear to have been designed for a different technologia, form of water-powered propulsion, similar to hydraulic compression, vibration, or resonance. Many 19th century archaeological reports note long, pipe-like bronze devices found near old railway lines, but without a clear explanation. And this is where the big question arises. If water-powered systems did exist, how did they work? Could there have been locomotives or carriages that used water not for steam but for oscillating propulsion through resonance? Some modern engineers believe that, with enough pressure and the right construction, water could be a source of power without burning fuel. Tartarian-style railway plans, found in Russian, Polish, and Kazakh archives, show that the track network often followed natural watercourses rather than detouring them like modern railways. Visual evidence, Tartaria's massive stations that become breaking their time *** when you flip through black and white photographs from the late 19th century you'll find structures that resemble stations, but are so large that they're almost out of place. There are grand halls dozens of meters high, stunning steel and glass domes, and massive stone columns carved with royal-like detail. The strange thing is, most of these structures were in cities that weren't yet developed, or even had enough population to justify such a massive station. One architecture too big for the population of 1890. Some stations in Russia, Kazakhstan, Poland, Romania, Mongolia, even small towns boast architecture that rivals European cathedrals. If these were normal stations, why would they need corridors hundreds of meters long, dome-shaped ceilings as high as temples, and dozens of exits? For what purpose would a town of only a few thousand people build a structure capable of accommodating tens of thousands of people? Some independent historians believe that these buildings were not just train stations, but could have been power stations, water-powered traffic coordination centers, water-powered magnetic resonance amplifier stations, or a completely different type of infrastructure belonging to a period we no longer understand. To unusual domes and metal structures, traces of resonance technology. A closer look at the surviving Tartarian stations reveals a striking commonality: parabolic metal domes, exquisite steel structures, but no clear technical documentation of how they were constructed in 1890. Many modern engineers have commented the steel bars were forged and bent so precisely that, with 19th century tools, it would have been nearly impossible to mass-produce them in remote areas. Some of the dome structures have light-gathering slots, wind-catching windows, and elaborate water channels, leading some researchers to believe that they were not just roofs, but could have served as water energy collectors, conductors, or sound resonators, similar to the working principle of the water resonance towers often rumored to be found in Tartarian structures. Trace unusual details at some old train stations. People found large copper pipes running along the floor, water channels built hidden under the brick floor, mysterious water tank system located right under the track area. All of these are not necessary for traditional steam trains, which only need boiler plus coal plus locomotive, but very suitable if there exists a type of vehicle that operates by compressed water or resonance, as the water-powered travel hypothesis once suggested in Tartarian research. For maps and photos show non-residential station lines. Many old maps show that the 1890s railway lines went through areas with almost no urban areas. This is all the more difficult to explain when we know that railways were very expensive at that time and only built where there was high demand. So why are there lines running through deserted areas? Some theories suggest that these lines were not for the movement of people, but for the internal transport system of a larger empire, possibly with its own operating technology, independent of combustion engines. This is the piece that leads us to the next part. If the Tartaria station was indeed a power station, how did the water-powered technology work? Water resonance technology, the old world's moving energy. To understand how the Tartaria ships of 1890 could have been powered by water, we must delve into what many researchers call Water resonance technology, a form of hydraulic resonance technology based on the pressure, vibration, and sound of water, not heated steam, but water in its natural state, channeled, compressed, and amplified through sophisticated mechanisms, creating a driving force. One background theory: water plus oscillation plus resonance equals motion. Some ancient Tartar structures have been found with similar structures: resonance tubes, bell-shaped water compression chambers, water channels that create low-frequency sounds, parabolic or sphere-shaped resonance towers. These are designs that are very similar to mechanical resonance technology. Water flowing through a narrow channel, hitting a surface, or passing through a hollow chamber will create vibrations. This vibration, if continuously amplified, can be converted into push, pressure, rotational force, long resonance, waves, and with an optimized structure, it can become the moving force for a train, just like a turbine, but without the need for fire, coal, or heat. To evidence that makes researchers suspicious in many old train stations. When digging into the ground, people discovered water ditches running straight under the rails, large copper columns placed parallel to the rail system, deep holes under the foot of the load-bearing columns, metal plates showing signs of resonance, vibration. These structures do not serve steam trains and are even less related to electricity or diesel. Most notably, in some areas, the floors or walls are covered with mineral deposits from high-pressure water, like traces of a water system that once operated continuously. 3. Why is water needed? Because water is the most stable source of torque energy. Unlike steam, it must be heated continuously. Unlike electricity, it needs a power grid. Unlike internal combustion engines, it needs fossil fuels. Not only is water cheap, it is also stable, easy to control, can create high pressure. When compressed, can create strong oscillations. When flowing through narrow channels. If Tartaria really existed as a clean energy empire, water would be the perfect choice to run an entire inland transport system. For unexplained diagrams in 19th century technical documents, some drawings archived in Russia, Poland, and Kazakhstan show bell-shaped hollow carriages, water pipes parallel to the tracks, circular compression chambers under the station. These drawings do not mention steam engines, leading many to suspect they belong to a technology that has been removed from official history. 5. What happened? Why is no one using water-powered travel anymore? If it was a powerful, clean, durable technology, why did it disappear? Some theories in the hidden history world suggest that the reset event of the late 19th century destroyed the system. Western powers chose steam and electric technology to control energy. Knowledge of Tartaria was erased from books when the map was renamed. Although there is no absolute proof, the strange thing is, many Tartarian structures show signs of being changed, modified, or intentionally destroyed soon after 1900. 6. What connects the evidence? Transcendent technology does not fit the mainstream timeline. The station is too large. The design is neither European nor Asian. The hidden water system, the metal resonance structure, the railway line goes through an uninhabited area. All of this adds up to a picture. There may have been a transportation network, not fuel that was forgotten or intentionally erased. The mysterious railways of North Asia, the remaining traces of an empire. If the Tartaria station was the power station and water resonance technology was the power source, then the network of tracks was the blood vessel of the entire system. The railway lines that stretched across Siberia, Kazakhstan, the Urals, Mongolia, and Central Asia, when put together, create a map that makes any researcher pause, not because of their length, but because they seemed to serve no human being there. One the tracks run through, no people, a phenomenon repeated in many railway maps of the late 19th century. The lines ran through completely empty land, no cities, no industrial areas, no mineral deposits, not even villages. In the context of 1890, when railways were extremely expensive to build, this makes no economic sense, but it makes perfect sense if the railways were originally built for an earlier civilization with a population size and purpose completely different from the modern world. To track alignment, the most important clue, the next oddity. Many ancient railways ran parallel to major rivers, sometimes following the water to an unreasonable degree. In conventional railway engineering, people would usually stay away from water for safety, but in the case of Tartaria, the opposite happened. This suggests the railways were designed to follow the water terrain, using the natural flow as a source of power for water-powered trains. Some researchers have even made overlay maps. When you superimpose an old railway map on an old river map, the two systems match surprisingly well. 3 truncated and missing railways in many Russian and Central Asian technical documents. There are records of railways that were built but never completed. They end abruptly in the middle of the steppe, or in clusters of low hills. The official reason, unknown, but for Tartarian researchers, it could be a relic of a dismantled system, or an internal line that once connected centers that no longer exist, or simply a remnant of a geographical demographic reset at the end of the 19th century. For satellite images, hidden tracks under the soil. Many modern satellite images in Siberia, the Urals and Altai show long, straight, parallel strips of land, not plow marks, not geological lines, but traces of old tracks. Archaeologists have excavated these areas and discovered track paving stones, antique rail studs, rail bed styles. Surprisingly, the age of many places is older than the Trans-Siberian Railway officially started in 1891. This raises the question, who laid those tracks before? Modern Russia built its own. 5. When the map is put together, what happens is creepy when independent researchers pieced together ownerless rail lines from Kazakhstan, Russia, Siberia, Mongolia, and Western China. They got a continental-scale rail network, stretching from the Caspian Sea all the way to remote Yakutsk, a system so vast it would have taken hundreds of years to build. But the most terrifying thing isn't its size. It's this: the network operates in a way that's optimized for water-powered transport, not steam. The tracks follow the flow of water. The stops coincide with the locations of the resonant water towers. The giant stations stand at the exact intersection of water and water. The final piece of the puzzle leads us to the biggest question of all. If a water-powered network existed, what kind of transport could it handle? The Tartaria trains, a train for their times and the conclusion of a lost empire asterisk. When we look at the surviving Tartaria trains in old photographs, we see something strange. They don't resemble steam trains. They don't resemble trams. They don't resemble any other 19th century vehicle known to history. Some don't have boiler rooms. Some wheels are too light to support the force of a classic locomotive. Some joints are unusually large, as if they were designed for a different kind of propulsion, not steam, but vibrations transmitted from water. One train's not intended for steam engines, many photos show. No chimney, no coal storage, no boiler system. Instead, under the car there is a hollow, bell-shaped cavity, which looks more like a hydraulic resonator than a traditional mechanical part. In particular, some cars have resonator pots, round metal chambers, attached to pipes running down to the ground, as if they needed to connect to the water system under the track. To resonance motion, not fast, but stable, smooth and durable according to a survey by some modern engineers. If water resonance technology really exists, the movement of the train will be low noise, smooth and even stable speed of 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. No need for gasoline, coal or electricity. This coincides with many folk descriptions in Siberia, where the elderly used to say, the train runs very lightly, as if floating on the ground. 3. Technology disappears with history. If Tartaria once possessed such a vehicle, why are there no intact cars left? There are 3 most mentioned hypotheses. The reset event at the end of the 19th century destroyed infrastructure and technology. Simultaneously, technology was seized when Western empires established a new world order. History was rewritten, erasing all traces related to a civilization that was too different. Although there is no definitive proof, the sudden disappearance of the entire system in just a few decades remains one of hidden history's biggest questions. For when all the pieces are put together, a picture emerges: a giant station beyond its time, an adjacent water resonance structure, tracks running along water veins, tracks in an uninhabited area, trains not intended for steam engines. Putting the pieces together, we see a more complete picture. A continental transport system, powered by water, existed, and it belonged to a civilization that modern history calls Tartaria. While we don't know who they were, where they went, or why they disappeared, the structures that remain stand, challenging our imagination. The train never returned, but the emotions remain. Maybe the Tartaria trains are gone forever. Maybe the water resonance technology has also fallen into disrepair, but the question remains, lingering like an echo in an abandoned train station. Do we really know everything about our past? Or are we just rereading someone else's version of history? One thing is certain. Every time we look at an ancient train station, a strange water tower, a dead-end track in the middle of the steppe, we see the shadow of a lost civilization. No voice, number records, only structures too large to be forgotten. And who knows, somewhere under the frozen ground of Siberia, or in a sealed archive, lies a blueprint, a piece of train car, or a water resonance device, enough